episode of Bank to the Future Live. I think we're on episode 67. Famida will let me know if I'm wrong, but I think we're 67. And today we've actually got Ruben, who's the CEO and co-founder of AirTM, and he's going to be giving us a brief presentation. The secondary market for the AirTM SPV shares went live this week. And so Ruben's just going to be giving us a bit of an update because AirTM is actually a really, really exciting company. When we first started looking at companies that we wanted to invest in at Bank to the Future, we were picking out countries that were offering real use cases for cryptocurrency in countries that could really, really utilize it. And AirTM was one of the early companies that we were trying to invest in. They'd secured investment from some decent investors in the crypto space. Ruben will go through that in his presentation. But I just love the use case. And since then, they've been growing. The adoption has been really good. And it's just a real use case for people that actually want to use crypto for its utility as opposed to just holding on like others might be using it in different countries. So Ruben, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Simon.
Okay, well, last time we met, we were actually in San Francisco, and that was right at I guess America didn't know that the virus was coming at that stage, and it was just breaking out in China. So literally since we last met, the whole world has changed, and I'd love to get an update on what's been happening at AirTM. So why don't we start with, I think you got a little presentation that you wanted to give. So we can do a bit of a screen share and go through the presentation on AirTM if you like.
Sure, that'd be great. Can you please confirm that you can see my screen?
Yeah, can see it good.
All right, cool. So we prepared a presentation for you guys and our investors in Bank to the Future. And I know that this is not just for them, but also for a wider audience of possible investors that might be eager to get some AirTM action. And so I'll speak about AirTM in general, just in case someone's either hearing about us for the first time, but it also worked as a refresh for those of you guys who invested in AirTM a very long time ago and would like to understand where we are, because we've had a bunch of progress. So on this presentation, I'll basically give you an AirTM refresh, and I'll also, with the help of Simon, answer your guys' questions. So feel free to post them on the forum. So AirTM is basically a company aspiring to empower people in broken economies financially, and think of a broken economy not necessarily as a country like Venezuela where it's totally broken, but if your money does not work for you in any sort of way, if it doesn't help you save, if it doesn't help you interact financially with the world, if it doesn't help you receive a remittance, then your money is broken in some way. And that makes it so that your life is a bit more difficult than it should be, because why should your money be broken, or why should your money not work for you exactly how it should? We don't think it's fair. We live in the world of Bitcoin, and no one should have access or a lack of access to money that works for them completely. And that's why we created AirTM. We have already helped more than 380,000 people in the last few years get access to totally free money to the AirTM dollar account, with which people have transacted more than $300 million in deposits to their dollar account, withdrawals from their dollar account, sending dollars to each other, receiving dollars from companies or from family members abroad, spending their dollars, investing their dollars in cryptocurrencies. But there's still many more things that we can do, because that little number right there is tiny in comparison to all the people that need access to not broken money. Right now, we believe that there's more people than ever, and thanks to the pandemic, that need access to a way to financially interact with the world, to keep their money in a stable form, to get access to stable exchange rates. And even though the pandemic is not necessarily the reason or the root cause for financial turmoil in developing nations, it is definitely a catalyzer for a huge world economic downturn, which is having a huge impact on people's pockets, because now more than ever, your money is being wiped by inflation. If your country is having to print money to help people or the economy keep going, then your money is losing more value than ever. You can just see in this little chart, which by the way has a tiny typo on the Venezuelan population. It should be 29 million, not 129 million. I'm just seeing that now. But anyway, the inflation rates just in the first quarter, where in the least of the cases, 13% in Colombia, but on average for Latin America, we're 20%. And this could just, you can extrapolate from Latin America to other developing world regions, and it'll be something similar. And that sucks because people don't have very many alternatives to prevent inflation from stealing their hard-earned money or eating away at it. Also, it's very difficult for people right now to interact with the global economy because, and for similar reasons to inflation, it's very difficult for your money to be accepted elsewhere, someplace other than your country. And of course, you can pay with your local visa, but the way that this lack of connectivity shows is that you lose a ton of money when you're actually trying to buy something online, or when you receive an international payment, you receive horrible exchange rates. And the amount of people that are impacted by this is just, there's hundreds of millions of people that are impacted by this. And the amount of data, I guess, on the lack of access to, or I guess the financial impact of having all these hundreds of millions of people not being able to financially interact with the world is not just, it's not out there. So the easiest comparison is just showing you guys the cross-border payments market, but that just shows you what people are able to do. But really, in reality, in comparison to a fully connected country where people are able to financially interact with other countries, these numbers are tiny. It should be way higher. And this is just because people's money doesn't really work for them in developing world regions. And that's, I guess, how AirTM aspires to connect people, and how we actually connect people to the global economies through our dollar wallet. As I said before, we give people the ability to save in stable currency in dollars. We give people the ability to send dollar payments, to receive dollar payments for free. We also allow you to request payments from people outside of your country. It might be because you maybe loaned money to some friend who lives in another country, or maybe locally, or maybe because you're a freelancer and you'd like to receive a payment. We also allow you to spend those dollars online because we have access to a Visa card, and soon a virtual Visa card, and soon to a physical dollar-denominated MasterCard, which we'll be shipping to Latin America first, so that anyone could take their dollars and spend them anywhere they want. Right now, there's this mass exodus of people that are fleeing their country because they just can't find jobs. And so in our mindset, we think of AirTM as more than a dollar account. We think of it as financial freedom. The way we're able to connect to people's money in these broken economies is not arbitrary. It's not like you can just connect to a local bank with AirTM and send money to people and receive money to people. We actually had to create this very kind of novel marketplace where people buy and sell dollars to and from each other in order to get access to this dollar account. So if you're wanting to make a deposit, say in Venezuela, for $50 into your AirTM dollar account, we will match you with an AirTM peer. We call them agents. One of our agents will say, hey, Simon, I'm willing to sell you $50 in AirTM, and if you send me 1 million bolivars. And this is similar to local Bitcoin, sure, and Paxful, and maybe in some way to the over-the-counter marketplace and Back to the Future. But in exchange for sending local currency to and from each other, our agents are able to buy and sell dollars to our clients who are looking to either deposit or withdraw. And this is what makes AirTM very unique, because it allows anyone, anywhere, regardless of where they are, to deposit money into their dollar account with which they can save, spend, send, receive very easily. And not only with local money and local bank accounts, but we actually allow our agents to exchange money with clients using more than 200 payment methods. And in terms of how reliable our marketplace is, and you could very much compare this to Uber or Airbnb, where people are offering services to and from each other. Well, in AirTM, if you request a transaction, say deposit or withdraw, it'll take 19 seconds to get matched up with an agent. Then for the agent to complete a transfer to you or you to an agent, it takes 6 minutes. And then to complete the whole cycle of a transaction, from when you request a transaction to deposit money to when you actually get money in your AirTM account, it takes 14 minutes. And this is very relevant, because when you compare this to I don't know, the likes of PayPal, that offers very similar services to AirTM, where you have a dollar account. Well, PayPal takes about 6 days to deliver money to someone's bank account in basically every single Latin American country. AirTM takes 14 minutes. And you could just extrapolate that to the time it takes for someone to make a deposit into PayPal. And of course, AirTM is a lot cheaper, because our agents are not charging $10 every time someone processes a transaction. For deposit or withdrawal, we charge 3.1% plus 40 cents, in comparison to an average $10 fee plus 3% that are charged by the incumbents. And the incumbents are not necessarily other dollar wallets trying to give dollar wallets or financial freedom to people. There are other dollar wallets that are meant to facilitate online shopping, like PayPal. That's what they're intended for. They're not intended for being a retail financial alternative for people in broken economies. However, that's what they're used for oftentimes. And since it's not their main use case, they don't do a great job at servicing it. But that's our main use case, and that's what we focus on, and we're great at servicing these people. Just so you guys know and remember, those who are already investors, we make money off of processing these deposit and withdrawal transactions. So whenever you want to make a deposit or a withdrawal, we charge you 3.1% on average plus 40 cents. Because our average transaction size is about $40, we make on average $1.67 every time someone makes a deposit or a withdrawal. That has a cost to us of about $1.09. And that's composed of a 3.1% on average variable fee plus 40 cents. And, the cost is composed of the 90 cents that we pay our agents right now, plus about 20 cents that we pay Amazon and other transaction servicing software tools that we need to make sure that our transactions are happening safely and not done by anyone that's trying to do something iffy. And then that yields a net revenue per transaction of about 58 cents. So this slide is just a comparison of, it should have been in another place, sorry. I should have been up above, but this is just a comparison of how cheap AirTM is to the alternatives in all the Latin American countries which we service. Of course, AirTM services a whole range of Latin American countries, and these are just the ones that PayPal and Skrill, which is another prominent e-wallet, which is meant to facilitate dollar payments from consumers to merchants online, charged to deposit or withdraw. But I already spoke about this. Basically, AirTM is way cheaper. But what I like the most is what I think is the most important thing, that AirTM is way quicker to connect to people's money. Like I said, we take less than 14 minutes to go from dollars in your AirTM account to local currency and back. And we have been focused a lot lately on not just growing the network of agents, which allowed us to do to reach everyone in every single Latin American country via our agents with very reliable cash delivery and collection metrics, both cost and speed. But now we are also very much focused on growing the use of the AirTM financial service alternative, the AirTM dollar wallet. And ever since the beginning of the year, we have been focused in expanding that to Argentina very aggressively. We have grown about 70% on average for the last, I think, 5 or 6 months, and we expect it to continue growing. I just heard news that we grew 50% the month of July, which is very exciting because it just proves that there's many people that want or need access to this dollar account with which to participate in the global economy, or to preserve their wealth, or to make an investment, etc. We have also seen very large organic uptake in, I guess, the AirTM wallet throughout Latin America. And this is just because, well, the need for AirTM today is more than ever. We right now have projections to, or are projected to break even very soon. Last month, we burned just a tiny amount of money. And so we are in a very good position. This is just meant for an update for current investors. And we are a team of about 95 people, and might be a little more, a little less. But our team is composed of people that come from other marketplaces or platform businesses online, like Uber or Green Scooters, which was one of those micro mobility startups in Mexico. We have a team that's composed of people that were doing compliance for traditional finance companies, or people who worked at other fintech companies or blockchain companies very early on, connecting these companies to already pre-established and highly regulated financial institutions, and people who come from very high-tech companies and very experienced tech leaders, people from traditional finance corporations are doing our leading our finance here in AirTM. Also a very solid product team trying to kind of work together to build this very simple, because it solves a very simple and dire need, which is in our minds a basic human right, but it's also a very complex solution, as you guys can see. And then finally me. I just get to show AirTM off to everyone. My job is the easiest. But that's AirTM, Simon. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I'll exit my screen so that you guys can see my face rather than the screen. It shows mostly a blue background. But any questions are welcome. So please feel free to.
Yeah, excellent. I got a few questions, and also for me to can pick out some from the audience as they come in as well. But what's the crypto side to this? How does it interact with the crypto markets?
It interacts with crypto in a whole bunch of different ways. First off, though, if you were able to spot this from a presentation, we don't call dollars in AirTM dollars. We call them AirUSD, and that's because technically the dollars in your dollar account are backed by crypto. They're backed by a variety of stable coins, which I won't dive into or describe specifically which ones for what, but every dollar in AirTM is backed up by a crypto dollar.
Okay.
Then it also interacts with crypto because the only way until very recently for one of our agents to fund their AirTM account and then be able to sell dollars to our clients was through crypto. You could deposit Bitcoin, Ethereum, and DAI directly into AirTM. You could also withdraw directly to them. And lastly, our clients also are offered a crypto trading product, which we facilitate thanks to Kraken. So hats off to them for allowing us to do this. But basically, our clients are trading, buying and selling crypto if they want via Kraken, but directly through the AirTM product, you can make a crypto investment. Those are the three ways.
Okay. And so do you have a sense of the breakdown in terms of demographic of where most of your clients are coming from and what they're using it for?
Sure. The coolest thing about AirTM is that our agents connect AirTM everywhere. They actually have processed the transaction for a person in every single country in the world, which is amazing. Because we, of course, don't have a focus everywhere. Our focus is Latin America, and that's why why 95% of our volume comes from Latin America. More specifically, about 50% comes from Venezuela, which is where AirTM was born. It was born for Venezuela and countries like it, but primarily Venezuela. And then we have also expanded, as you guys saw, throughout Latin America. We have at least, I'd say, $500,000 of volume every month, but that's little in comparison to Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Mexico, where we do a lot more transactions.
Yeah. So, I don't want to be dramatical, but literally in some of these countries, this is life-saving. And, I don't, if you take a company like Lebanon at the moment, that's obviously the one that's in topical at the moment, but it's gone from a civil war to a debt crisis to government political corruption to a currency crisis, which has lost 90% of its value of life savings, to the recent tragic explosion. It's just, currency and being able to maintain value in the currency that you've worked your whole life to save in. And you have countries that essentially, obviously, it's a touchy area because of capital controls, and countries with failing currencies tend to want to keep everybody in the poverty line. That's why in a country like Lebanon, you're now seeing almost 50% of people below the poverty line. But in a time when we're going through these really, really disastrous, tragic events in so many places around the world, being able to actually hold your value in dollars, thanks to the cryptocurrency markets. And also, if you can afford the volatility, being able to save in scarce assets like Bitcoin. Literally, it's no exaggeration that for some countries, that's not just, this is a nice to have, and we need to regulate this, and why does anyone need Bitcoin? Who gives a damn? This is life and death for some of your customers, right?
Totally, Simon, you're exactly right. We see AirTM as a way to financially empower those that have the most need to be financially empowered. And I guess they have a need to be financially empowered because financial power has been taken from them. That they have no way to do many things. They have no way to preserve their wealth, to invest, to send or receive payments. It's just crazy. It's like they have money from the Middle Ages. They can do exactly the same as a knight could, just keep it there. Maybe take it someplace and spend it, but they're totally financially disconnected from someplace else. And now I think that participating in the global economy could be a huge lifesaver for people, right? If unemployment rates are so high, then go learn something online and go sell that trade or skill someplace in some marketplace. Sure, we'll do that because we're developing world hustlers. But if we don't have a way to receive a payment, well, we're screwed, right? And that's why AirTM is such an important lifeboat for people, even now, or now more than ever, and for people everywhere. AirTM is available for everyone, regardless of their country. Of course, we don't deal with countries who are highly sanctioned by OFAC, but because we're regulated by the US and we trust their judgment. But anyone else, they should have access to AirTM. It's just a basic right.
Yeah. And I think it's quite important, I don't want to get too political here, but there is a difference between, some people think that there are obviously countries where the entire country is sanctioned, and if you want to have a license, you just can't deal with those people in financial transactions. But it's important for people to understand, and this is a distinction that we invested a lot of time in at Bank to the Future, that there is a difference between a sanctioned country and high-risk countries that actually have sanctioned activities. And so while people confuse the two, you can actually deal with countries that are considered high risk from a political perspective, as long as you can filter out that they're not performing the activity like dealing in weapons or whatever it might be. And so it's obviously traditional financial institutions, they just don't want to play in those markets, because if they've got a lot riding on, traditional markets, then they don't want to deal with these fringe markets. So it's important to have financial technology companies that are using some of the cutting edge innovations that have come from this crypto market, and really specializing in putting together solid structures, using, understanding the compliance in these what seem to be, challenging markets for many incumbent traditional financial institutions dealing with different markets. Help us understand some of the regulatory challenges, structures, and how you're using, I've always found this balance between compliance and innovation is where you can create real value. Help us understand some of these areas that AirTM has had to jump through.
Well, it's not necessarily that we have to jump through, but we have certain rules for doing what we do. And those rules are imposed by us by a regulator. We are registered with FinCEN as the Financial Crimes Enforcement Unit or Network, in the US. And they basically tell us, well, if you want to be a money service business, giving financial service to people or helping people do stuff with money, you have to make sure that no one's laundering money, that no one's financing terrorism. And to do that, we will ask you that you guys run your list of users through these lists of dangerous people, essentially. And that if you find some people are doing suspicious activity, regardless of whether or not they're on this list, you have to report them to us. And you have to file this suspicious activity report to us. And we do that. And we use software that's specially meant for this. And we have a whole fraud team and compliance team that are working to make sure that no one's using our platform for that which is not intended to be used. And then we just report them. We don't see them as constraints. It's just the rules for our game. And we were very happy to do them because we would not like to do something or to facilitate any nefarious activity. We're there for people who need us to make a living, but not for people to want to do weird stuff or things that will harm people, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's important to remind to the clients, because we have to do these things, and unfortunately it interferes in the user experience. But we can only offer the service if we're able to do such things. I think for me, might have an audience question.
So just to add to that, it's not necessarily that it impacts the user experience. It's that in order for us to continue giving you service, and look, we have 380,000 users, but that's nothing, right? There's millions and hundreds of millions of people that need AirTM, and so if we want to get to all of them, we just have to do these things. If not, if we were totally open, like maybe local Bitcoins was back in the day, we'll never reach that scale that we aspire to have, and we'll never get to help all those people that need AirTM. But yeah, let's go to your questions.
Yeah, this has been really quite incredible to hear, actually. And somebody mentioned, thanks for mentioning Lebanon, Simon. It is a hot topic right now. It's really just scary, especially the situation in the US. And now it's just one after the other. And just hearing the way that you speak about how you're complying and doing audits and stuff. It's the same with BnkToTheFuture, right? So there's this whole set of processes that an investor has to go through to register on the platform. So how does a user register on AirTM?
Well, you go into AirTM.com, you create an account. You could do that with your Google or Facebook accounts, and that's it. There's nothing much more to it.
No
IDs. Available for everyone. Of course, well, yeah. Depending on the types of things you try to do, then we'll ask you for more information, but we'll guide you through the process. It's very easy.
Okay. Is it restricted to certain countries? So, say for example, somebody lives in the UK or has like a different passport, for example. How difficult is it for somebody to use your application?
It's available for everyone anywhere, unless you live in highly sanctioned countries, and you know who you are. But maybe North Koreans won't be able to access AirTM. That they won't, period.
Yeah. What can someone do? So do you have, like, obviously as a securities business, we have to treat everybody, well, we have to do the same for every user. But I know in many money service businesses, there's a certain threshold at which you can use a service without having to provide additional documentation. What's the threshold for someone till they have to actually complete additional checks?
Well, we don't talk about our, I guess that belongs in our compliance manual, and we don't talk about that publicly because that's our playbook to deter bad activity. But we have very standard tiered KYC processes that you could find across the industry, and that's not really relevant, but we make it very easy for users to go through that process and to get verified and to continue to do what they want to do.
I have a question. Sorry, I have another question. So from Nora Bo, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing their name correctly. Hello, AirTM. Are you guys considering peer-to-peer lending?
Well, we want to be a financial services platform. As you saw from our service offering, you could see that we offer savings, we offer crypto investments, we offer sending and receiving money internationally. We offer a debit card, a virtual debit card, and you can extrapolate from that or from those lists of products and assume that we will try to offer the whole list of financial products that we know people need. And people need some financial leverage. People need to have access to borrow money from themselves in the future. And peer-to-peer lending is a great way to facilitate that. And I don't know if we're going to go that route or maybe just a traditional lending scheme where we have money that we lend in exchange for an interest, or maybe through an intermediary. But we will try to get people financial leverage at some point, not probably in the near future, but it is in the AirTM list of products to offer for sure, along with insurance and maybe a greater or a more popular type of investment. So it's not just crypto that you're allowed to have an exposition to, but maybe other securities one day.
All right, I have another question from Andres. I see DeFi as a big competitor for AirTM. What are AirTM's plans for DeFi's smart contract integration?
Well, you could think of AirTM as a DeFi startup because we are pulling from a bunch of different providers for financial services and bringing them into one platform where people can access them. And we make AirTM just a way to interact with other financial service providers. We are not actually the guys providing you a debit card. We're not the guys providing you the crypto trading services. We're not the guys providing you the actual dollars. We're just a platform for all these things. And so in that way, we're very much distributed or decentralized. We're not a bank. We don't have the overhead of a bank. We go through middlemen, and we leverage scale to give better pricing. And there's some things that if we were totally or completely decentralized finance platform running on some blockchain, we would not be able to do. I'd like to see one of these decentralized or 100% decentralized finance protocols to get a relationship with MasterCard or Visa going. Good luck with that. So I think to play in this game, you have to kind of be able to play a middle ground. And we're not necessarily fighting against being totally decentralized. We think that if there's any company in the world that has had to go through to the hassles of providing restrictionless financial services, let me tell you, it's AirTM, because there's no other DeFi company that has been sought after by Maduro. I've personally been wanted and looked for by this guy, and I don't see anyone else doing that or getting into the frontier of actually trying to get financial service to those who need it most, other than AirTM. And if there's others looking to do that, then I welcome them to join the fight in some way and to reach out to me at Ruben@AirTM.com. But we don't think that you have to go fully rogue and decentralized to get financial services to those in most need.
Yeah, why don't you share a bit more about the on the ground stuff that you've been doing? Because we've talked about many initiatives over the years. You were telling us about some of the projects you were involved in terms of on the ground, giving people access to cryptocurrency. Tell us about some of the initiatives that you've done over the years.
Well, it's not necessarily on the ground because that implies that we deal with cash or something, but we give those people that need access to this retail financial services the most. And these are people who are at the bottom of the pyramid trying to make their way up, that live below the poverty line sometimes. And we give them financial services, and to get AirTM in their hands, we've done a whole bunch of things, and not just to promote AirTM, but to help them get access to other financial tools. We believe that if people knew how to use crypto, and maybe if they had a favorite stable coin which they could manage easily, they would maybe not need that to suffer from having a lack of access to stable currency, for instance. And so we have done some educational campaigns, and we have tried to get crypto in the hands of people. We, for instance, ran this Airdrop Venezuela campaign where we tried to raise $1 million to give $10 to 100,000 people. We were able to give, I think, $5 or $6 to about 60,000 people, which in my mind was not enough, but I think we were able to give these people just some exposure to crypto and how it could help them. We think that has an important role in just evangelizing crypto, or not necessarily evangelizing crypto for the sake of promoting crypto, but for the sake of giving people the financial tools that we all know could help them. And I don't know, we have this constant struggle between these companies pretending to be that, because they're not there, right? And maybe Dash is, and kudos to them, because they're actually in Venezuela, and I can't say or can speak to the reasons why they're there, how they managed to be there. But yeah, it's get there, go to the ground, do stuff, help people. We're all fighting the same fight.
I have a question. Would you recommend using this app as a saving application?
Well, that's one of our main use cases. People use us most for saving or preserving your wealth in dollars. People use us most for receiving freelance payments. A lot of people use AirTM to cash out their freelance payments because they get paid in PayPal, and PayPal does not connect to their country. And so they deposit into AirTM using PayPal through one of our agents, and then they withdraw it back to local currency through one of our agents. And that happens in 30 minutes. Whereas if they went the native PayPal path, it would have taken them 6 days. But yeah, savings is a great use case for AirTM.
Cool. Another question I have. Simon, can I go ahead and ask these questions?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
cool. So Andres has mentioned Bank to the Future secondary market, Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Bank to the Future secondary market is unliquid. There are too many sellers and too little buyers, and the fact that the minimum amount to trade is $1,000.
Mm-hmm. So yes, it is low liquidity at the moment, but in our roadmap, we know what we need to do to make it liquid. And our belief is that most people actually want to very easily build a portfolio of the different companies that are making progress in this industry. There's a reason why we're in beta right now, is because we're aiming to build every single company that's doing something in the cryptocurrency industry. Once we have exposure to maybe 50, 60, 70, 80, eventually we think we can get all of the major companies in crypto listed on the secondary market. Then most people want to come along and through a portfolio builder strategy, for example, put some funds in and then be able to have complete diverse exposure. So at the moment, what we're building is the companies that are, the first thing is to make sure that we're only dealing on our secondary market with the companies that are making progress. Now, that doesn't mean that it's, these companies won't fail in the future, because that's the nature of the beast. This is still high risk, high return investing. And there's a lot of companies that are well intended, but the stars and the moons just don't line up for them. So, but we want to make sure that we're only listing the companies that are making progress and doing great things like AirTM. And then we think the buy side is going to come through a couple of innovations that we're working on right now. One is the portfolio builder, so it's easy to actually be diversified across the industry. And the second is we're working on some collateralized products that also make it more useful to own long-term, high-risk, high-return investments. So those are two innovations that we're bringing to market. Once we've got these innovations, then we'll be pushing on the buy side as well. But for now, one of the important things is that, we're building those that are looking to actually place those sell orders, and then we can work on the buy side. It's never going to be a liquid cryptocurrency market, or it isn't designed like that. Most companies at this stage, the reason we have a price floor is because it's just, liquidity can be a very bad thing for an early stage company, just because the amount of the length of time it takes means that you might end up selling for reasons that have nothing to do with the company's progress. So we keep that price floor to try and make sure that the companies can maintain their valuation when they go out and raising future funding as well. So yes, the liquidity is low at the moment. But our initiatives once we come out of beta is to try and push that buy side once we've got a decent lineup on there. So we thank companies like AirTM that are willing to take some of the shares that we hold in our SPV structure and allow investors that want some liquidity to cash out at some of the higher prices. But I still believe that the game of private equity is still long-term, high risk, high return. If you try and sell too early, you miss out on the main benefit of investing in private equity, which is if you can sustain and try and find some of those companies that become those billion-dollar unicorns. And having had 90,000 investors being the world's first crypto securities business, we have the data on who's wealthy and who's not, who built their wealth, who didn't build their wealth. And we've seen that the traders are the ones that didn't do too well, and the ones that held long-term are the ones that did really well. We have some companies that invested in some of our funds that were paying Bitcoin every day since 2014, still haven't touched that Bitcoin. They were receiving Ethereum. We paid out tens of thousands of Ether, still haven't touched any of that Ether. And they've reinvested some of it along the way into companies. And some of those companies have gone on to become billion-dollar unicorns. So we got the data, and we know that the long-term investors are the ones that have become wealthy versus the short-term speculators and traders. We know that firsthand. So it's still a long-term game.
Cool. I actually have another question that I just thought of now. Do charity organizations use AirTM?
Yeah, plenty of them. We have about 100 companies or just non-for-profit organizations that use AirTM as a tool to distribute aid to those who need it most. And because AirTM is really the best way to deliver some assistance to someone that leaves, say, in Venezuela.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Do you have any examples of any charity organizations or nonprofits, NGOs?
Well, you guys could go to our partners website. I don't know most from the top of our head, but we work with IMAP. We work with others that work directly with USAID. We work with Oxfam. We work with plenty, and we have a whole team dedicated to that. Nice.
That's awesome. A question from Berlin Luke. Can you talk about your the financial position of the company? Are we cash flow positive? And will there be a time for another fundraising?
We are not yet cash flow positive, but we're very close to it. We are going to break even according to our projections in September, but it might be sooner than that. So it's very exciting, and we will, even though we have some cash in the bank still, we go out to the market to raise some money. The VC market, of course.
Yep, and the way the Bank to the Future secondary market actually works is we have the price floor, and that's the price of the last funding round where a primary trade actually happened. Just so you're aware, primary trade means the company goes, the money goes into the company, sets a price, and then when the AirTM team are looking for their next funding round, they go out to the venture capital markets, they get a lead investor, that sets a new price. Hopefully we'll be able to do some co-investment in that round at that stage. But we would suspend the market at that stage, and then the new price would be set, the new price floor. And hopefully people prefer to stay in longer. But if anyone wants to place a sell order at that new price floor, then that's how the market actually ends up working.
So does that mean AirTM won't look to do another fundraising?
We hope so, but that's up to the AirTM guys, and hopefully, if they secure their lead investor, then we'd like to participate where we can as well.
Well, as the company grows, it becomes more important to have investors that can help you in the future. And I'm not saying Bank to the Future cannot do that, but just in order for you to maximize the chances of your success, you have to do whatever you can. And one of the things that you need to do is to get money from very sophisticated investors who have access to even more cash in the future. And more cash, I mean millions to hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars, which is difficult to get access to from a peer-to-peer market. And regardless of that, we're very thankful for Bank to the Future, because very early on, you guys opened your doors for us to help or to secure investment when we really needed it. And it was a very fun process. If I had to do it again, I would do it again. It was exciting. And now it opens the door for others who would like to get some exposure to AirTM and other companies to do so. I believe people through Bank to the Future got access to, I know, it's about $500,000 worth of shares or something like that, which is, it's a lot. You guys can, or people who bought those shares are forever going to be able to sell them here or to buy them. If you guys are believers in the mission and you see that there's a world tendency that will drive more people to AirTM, then you'll always have a way to get access to these shares in these pretty open market, which will allow you to get exposure to AirTM and other companies like it, when you guys would not, or when people would not ever have access to do so. So I think what you guys are doing is very cool.
Awesome. I got a question as well. I'd love to understand a bit about your actual motivations for starting this company. Was there something in your life that drove you to actually creating this with your team? Like what was your background? What made you want to do this?
Oh, the reason is on the call. His name is Tim Parsa. He was the reason that I was like, okay, let's do this. I was working for him at Uphold, and it was then called BitReserve. He had co-founded this company, helped get people access to this very cool money, which I was just learning about in 2015. And he wanted to create this over-the-counter marketplace for Uphold money. And then one of the ideas was to get people in countries like Venezuela access to this money. It was then more for Argentina, because there was this article which we referenced a lot, I remember. But then the reason I got hooked onto AirTM was because I realized that no one knew the real value of money in certain countries, and there was restrictions. And I've always had this huge sense of justice. It's, I guess, my main value. And having the feeling that I could do something against, or I could help people to get access to a tool to escape the injustice of not being able to preserve their wealth, was for me the main driver and hook for the beginning, and it still is today. It's what motivates me the most, knowing that I'm doing something that goes against something very unfair that some asshole is doing. That's what gets me going, and I think that's what gets most people in AirTM going as well. Yeah, but I'm super thankful to Tim because he got it all started.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. And I do remember the Uphold days because it was one of our very early deals. It was called Bit Reserve at the time. And I believe that you bootstrapped it on their technology, and then at some stage you needed to move to your own proprietary technology. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're also very helpful for Uphold because they helped us get the technology we needed to get started without the need for us to build it ourselves. Now we built it ourselves, and no one charges us for using it, and it's a lot better because we are now AirTM's its own standalone company. We don't need any third party to survive, but it was very useful for us to get started when we did. And we're very thankful for that as well.
Okay, Famida, I was going to do a wrap up in the final 5 minutes on other Bank to the Future news, but did you have any final questions you wanted to cover? Or no? Okay,
no. Nothing else has come through. Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
Yeah, Ruben, thank you very much for.
Sorry, Simon. Before we go, if I don't know if Tim would like to say something.
Tim, I think we're putting you on the spot. Do you want to? I think you're in the background there, but do you want to come and say something?
Sure. That was really helpful, and I want to just echo what Ruben said about how grateful we are to Bank to the Future. You guys came and believed in us and gave us an opportunity to raise money on your platform when we had not yet proven out really that peer-to-peer dollar marketplace and reliable financial services was something that could scale throughout the developing world. And so I just want to thank you all for that, and thank all of our Bank to the Future investors. It's been a great journey, and we're in the early innings. I feel like although we've come far in the last 5 years, there's, as Ruben pointed out, there's hundreds of millions of people that need AirTM. And we plan on working hard and not stopping until we provide reliable financial services to all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for that, Tim.
And by the way, Tim is going to be helping you guys if you decide to invest in AirTM to get news on a monthly basis. And he does a very good job at answering your questions in a timely manner.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest friction points on Bank to the Future because, I don't think investors, unless they're involved in an early stage company, they do not appreciate how hard companies have to work just to get to the stage where you break even and customers are satisfied and you're using it and you're compliant. And in financial technology, it's like 10 times more difficult than any other service because you've got regulators that want to take you down if you do anything wrong. You've got constantly changing environments. You've got confusion with the crypto markets. You've got your customers that you're trying to service. You've got your investors. And then, as much as you want to give those investor updates, sometimes it's just really, really tricky to fit those in. But Tim has actually done a really good job. And the way that it works at Bank to the Future is once you own shares in the SPV structure, you get access to the investor zone. We have a discussion forum, but the investor zone is where Tim is actually, wherever he can, jumping in, and he's done a good job of that. So thanks a lot, Tim.
Well, thank you guys. It's just as it's important to us at AirTM to give everyone access to reliable financial services. We believe it's really important to be transparent and clear and maintain communication with our investors. We take it very seriously, our obligations, and we're very dedicated, and everyone on the AirTM team works night and day to create value for the people that have trusted us with their investment. So I'm happy to always answer questions and share the good news of how we're growing. And Ruben has done such an extraordinary job. There's not enough credit to be given to him, really. He, as he mentioned, when we started this 5 years ago, he was a very young, recent college graduate who was just getting into tech, just getting into crypto. 5 years later, he's one of the leading crypto fintech entrepreneurs, and one of the few that have created a sustainable business by connecting crypto to legacy financial systems and bringing reliable financial services to the people who need them.
Okay, awesome. So in the final 5 minutes, I'm just going to go through some Bank to the Future updates for our customers. You are welcome to drop off, or you can stay on if you're interested. Yeah, thank you all. Oh, I think for me.
One more question.
Thank you, Simon, for having us.
Okay, Phoebe wants to slip in one question.
Sorry, Ruben. So I went onto the website and I saw that there is a blog page. Do you think there will be a translation available?
Well, there's already. I'll send you guys information on that there.
Okay, cool.
Or soon. And there's also a company blog where it's not, the main audience of that is not necessarily our users, but actually people in tech that wants to understand AirTM and the team more. Tim will share that with you guys too.
Nice. Cool. Thank you.
I mean, I can see.
Thank you.
I can see Famida's interest because she does a lot of work with charitable organizations and stuff. So I think, yeah, you're going to be an advocate for this service and let more people.
Oh, 100%. I've got loads of friends who are, behind the scenes talking about situation in Bangladesh, Lebanon, Palestine. It's just Venezuela. Yeah. Cool. This is awesome.
Well, thank you guys for your help, for helping AirTM, the AirTM word to get out there. And bye, Simon and Famida. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Ruben. Bye, Tim.
Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim. So if you enjoyed it, please do like this video. Bank to the Future Live is the show that we have dedicated just for our investors. It's a bit more niche. I give a lot of economic updates on my personal YouTube channel, Simon Dixon. But Bank to the Future is a time where we just get to talk about financial technology companies, investing, and those people are looking to build a portfolio as this industry goes. So if you appreciated this content, please do like, please do share, hit that subscribe button. There's a little bell symbol and YouTube will send you a notification each and every time we go live, and we'll be focusing, as we said, on the investor side. A few updates on Bank to the Future. We have had an incredible influx in customer service. We are not delivering the type of customer service that we would like to be delivering, but we're rest assured everybody is working very hard at the moment. And we've lost a few of our team members, unfortunately, which has coincided with one of our most successful campaigns on Bank to the Future, which was Celsius, that just raised approximately $19.5 million. 19 and a quarter, I think it was in the end, but a lot of people didn't get in time. And that was due to us not being able to respond in a timely fashion because it all happened very quickly, and us not having the resources that we would like to have. We are interviewing, we are recruiting. If you would like to apply for some of the jobs that we have at the moment, head over to our careers side. We're interviewing in the investor relations, the support side, and the technology side. But rest assured, we will get to your tickets, and we will make sure that we get around to those eventually. We have at the same time been releasing new features. We've just released our multi-currency deposits, so that's great. And with those multi-currency deposits, it means that you can take any fiat currency that is supported by the SWIFT network, and there's a list of all of those on this new blog post. Head over to BnkToTheFuture.com, click on the announcements page, and you'll see some of the new features. And we'll auto convert those to US dollars. We've been speaking with the AirTM team, how we can actually do some integrations in the future as well. And then those can be used for investing through the Bank to the Future platform. We also released you all know that we have been working on our portfolio section. We've got, so unfortunately, we're not ready to release that. But in the meantime, we released some important, as a stopgap. We released the ability for you to be able to see some of your failed, canceled transactions. There was a lot of confusion from investors. One of the most frequent requests we got was they might have made multiple payments. So maybe they were investing 5 times, but they only meant to invest once. And so they only sent funds once to the paid transaction. And then the other 4, they time out. If you don't receive the money to those 4 transactions, you receive an email saying that it was canceled. And some of you thought that the whole investment was canceled. It's just relating to that transaction. So the way to check that is head over to the portfolio section, log into your account, and you can see all of the live deals. If you made multiple transactions, you can see all those transactions. You can see which one is marked as paid, which one is pending, which one is canceled. And you'll also see there a total amount that you have actually invested. And you can check that that is all as it should be. So remember, you can do that. Many people from the Celsius pitch, because it had almost 1,000 investors in a very short time frame. You can head over to the portfolio to check that. We also launched the the Bank to the Future Series B funding round. That is live on the platform. We haven't started promoting that yet because we wanted to actually make sure that we were getting back to our customers before we actually did that. And then we're still live with that at the moment. That was the request because we haven't done a funding round since 2016, and our investors frequently requested that. So once we've got all of that customer service back under control, we'll be actually promoting that a little bit further. The AirTM journey, so at Bank to the Future Live, let us know which companies you would like to see us bring on. And we'll make sure we do that in future episodes. And we'll also be releasing some future updates in future episodes of Bank to the Future Live. So I'd like to thank the AirTM team. As we said, grateful to all the investors that made the company get to this stage where their projections are saying they're going to get to that break even and they can start growing to the next stage in such a time when it's so important to be able to be bringing these financial services in times when people's financial systems are just imploding and exploding. Thank you very much, Famida, for pulling out those questions, and glad you got to be on this one because I knew it'd be one that you'd be really passionate about. And we'll see you on next episode, this time next week of Bank to the Future Live. I believe this was episode 67, and we'll see you for the next episode next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.